Hello, everyone. If you can give me a thumbs up in the chat that you can hear all of us, that'd be awesome to get started. I'm excited to have Brad and Lee here from Rynoh. We're going to cover a lot of ground on what is going on with escrow accounting and operations. There's a tough balance of efficiency and security that Rynoh works to maintain, but we're going to be covering risk assessment and fraud detection. We're going to be covering AI and title, that balance of automation and security. And then we're going to get into the future with some product information with Rynoh Verifi and Rynoh Live as well. So Lee, I think we're going to start off with you. And
okay.
Why don't we get going here?
I guess a little bit about Rynoh. So Rynoh was actually started in 2007. It was built by a title agent for a title agency. Rynoh's patented cloud-based financial management and fraud prevention system that has revolutionized escrow and account management practice. Since it was introduced, Rynoh has identified and prevented escrow theft, wire and ACH fraud, and stopped employee embezzlement, defalcation, and eliminated check fraud and disbursement errors, and it saved clients millions of dollars. So I guess the big accolade there is that we've saved more money than we've ever been paid since 2007. When it comes to the Alta best practices, it's achievable with Rynoh. Electronic verification and reconciliation ensures the underlying bank transaction and accounting system entries support the reconciliation provided. Rynoh provides electronic access to underwriters. So what that really means is when it comes down to an audit type process, you can allow your auditors temporary and redacted access to your Rynoh account, which, hey, it just cuts down on their audit time. So, look, you guys know as well as I do, auditors are looking for money mistakes. So instead of them being in your office for 3 or 4 days, randomly pulling files, looking for errors, they can see all that financial information before they ever come into your office. Now, if you don't want to grant your underwriter access to your Rynoh account, you can also log in and do a one-time report for them. So if your underwriter says, hey, we want to see the last 6 months of your audit, your reconciliation reports or any other type of report, you can just grant them, you can log in and do a one-time report, which allows them to have all that information very, very quickly. We also meet the CFPB and Dodd-Frank requirements for financial transparency, as well as other regulatory requirements for safeguarding the settlement funds. So again, we're pretty much locked down as far as we can go. So next slide, please. So much like Monopoly, every move counts towards securing a win in the competitive game of real estate transactions. So the stakes are high and the risks are real. So currently, our numbers show that facing a projected decline of about 35.5% from previous years, the mortgage industry finds itself in a tight spot. The existing manual systems are fraught with risk, from data duplication to compliance errors that can transform what should be a straightforward process into a complicated mess. So, here's what we're really looking at is being able to reconcile your accounts on a daily basis. It's just tough. Nobody makes money from reconciling accounts daily. So, where your money really comes from is being able to close business and move forward with things. So we are, we're helping reducing the differences in time and being able to reconcile those accounts very, very easily. So next slide. So the link between efficient processes and client satisfaction. So a title business operates as the intermediary, as you guys well know, between the buyer and the seller, ensuring that all financial transactions are handled with trust and accuracy. However, inefficiencies in the title process, such as extended loans, approval timelines, and procedural errors, can degrade customer experience significantly. So, here really where that comes into process is, if you've got some type of a delay. So if you've got, a closing that's supposed to happen this week, for crying out loud, it's the last week of the month, and then now all of a sudden it gets extended out because they went and bought a car, or they've got to rerun some type of, credit checks or what have you. being able to keep up with those timelines and the accounting practices that are required by a title company, it's difficult to do. So we streamline that entire process to make it automated. So if something goes over to the next month, we're able to transact that, keep track of that transaction and make sure that it goes streamlined from 1 month to the next month. So next slide. So don't gamble with your business. So task overload, automating repetitive tasks can free up executives to focus on more critical activities like how you think strategically on monopoly buys. So again, being able to reconcile on a daily basis is very, very important. Again, it fulfills that, the best practices for Alta. So instead of you having to go out and do the due diligence and all the forensics to be able to go, hey, what happened at the bank? What happened on the book? Was it a match? We automate all that process for you. Stakeholder collaboration, automated collaboration tools ensure smooth transaction across the mortgage value chain. So again, we're able to tap into your bank, go into your software. When we aggregate that data together from the previous banking activity, as well as every 10 minutes, we're updating your software, we're grabbing new data from your software. When we aggregate that together, that's what automatically reconciles the account, and it generates a morning report. So regulation compliance, just as players must adapt to changing game rules, automation systems help businesses stay compliant with evolving regulations without drowning in paperwork. So again, it's an automated process with Rynoh. So every day you get a morning report, you actually work from that morning report. So right at the very top, it'll tell you if you're balanced, if you're not balanced, what items have you be out of balance. So you can very, very simply, reconcile that account in a very timely manner. So next slide. So since Rynoh's been around, we've actually 24,544,994 closings are protected by Rynoh. So that really kind of aggregates down to about $8.1 trillion in files that we've actually protected the money on. So we've got automated escrow reconciliation, which is a daily 3-way reconciliation product for your trust account or your escrow account. We've included an escheatment platform as well, so that automates all of your escheatment needs. It tells you when you need to escheat, who to, how much, what file it relates to, what the due diligence process is, and so forth. We also include with our pricing an automated operating account. So it's a daily, instead of a daily 3-way, which is included, a daily 2-way reconciliation product for your operating account. And then we've also got new account verification features as well, which Brad will go into here in a minute. So, next slide. So I think that actually kind of goes over to where I can actually go into the demo of Rynoh. So Brad, if you want to bring up that demo.
You've got it, Lee.
Okay, so let's see here. So once we first log into Rynoh, what you'll have is you'll have an admin screen, and the admin screen is pretty much like other admin screens. So this is where you can set up users, set up bank accounts. Now, the thing about Rynoh is we do not charge you any additional fee for any additional users or additional bank accounts. Up here at the top, Rynoh Tracks. So Rynoh Tracks, this module is set up to where you guys can set up automated daily alerts that will show up in your morning report based on purpose, payee, or amount. So these are for items that do not clear the bank in a timely manner. And I'll tell you a short story. So we had an agent several years ago that had no Rynoh Tracks alerts set up whatsoever. So they had an agency rep come into their office to pick up remittance checks and policies. When they pulled out that remittance check, there was another check stuck to it. And that check was for American Home Shield, home warranty. So the check was 45 days old. They called American Home Shield and they said, hey, American Home Shield, will you take this check? And American Home Shield said, no, we will not. So American Home Shield has a policy that they will not take a check after 30 days of remittance. So what ended up happening is that title company had to cover or basically step into the liability seat of that property for the next year. And the way the story goes is they had a pipe that broke in their dishwasher, flooded out the kitchen floor, and the title company had to pay about $2,900 to replace that wood flooring. Had they had an alert set up to where if the payee was American Home Shield, AHS, or in anything that related to that, or if they had the purpose for warranty, they would have been alerted that that check did not clear. And that would have given them time to be able to get on the phone with American Home Shield, see if they got the check. If they did not get the check, cancel that check and open a new one. So under the reports tab, so under reports, these are, so the morning report is a daily automated morning report. So it comes every day between 7 and 9 Eastern when we log into the bank and we compare all of that bank data to that, to the book data that we've collected every 10 minutes from the previous day. So that morning report comes. We do have a link for it just in case for some reason you don't have access to your email or if your email server goes down. I mean, look, it happens from time to time. We have a check acceptance report. So if you've got positive pay, Rynoh can automate that positive pay batch upload for you. If for some reason you do not have positive pay, we have kind of a reverse report that will take, instead of taking data from your software and uploading it to the bank, we can take that bank data and download it and compare it to your software. So it's kind of a next day thing, but it does help when it comes if you do not have positive pay. Now, under reconciliation section, we've got about a dozen other reports that you can log in and manually get those reports, or you can have them sent to you automatically. So again, the whole idea here is that you do not have to log into Rynoh and get any type of information. Under recon submissions, you can set up an automatic email alert that will come to you every whatever day of the month you set it up for, if you've got a requirement to send in your monthly reconciliation report to your underwriter. So instead of you having to try to remember, when do I send in my monthly reconciliation report, we'll send you an automatic email reminder that will tell you, hey, today's the day to do that. You can upload your bank statement. You can also include any of these other reports with that particular submission. Now, if you don't want to have your underwriter have, access to your Rynoh time, your Rynoh login, you can actually go in here and generate a one-time report. So now we actually store all of your monthly reconciliation reports for audits. So prior to an audit, again, you can have your auditor have temporary and redacted access to your Rynoh account, which, it just cuts down on their time for the audit. So hang on one second, sorry about that. But if you don't want to give them access to your Rynoh account, you can actually generate a one-time report as well. So going over to the recon section. So under recon, this is where we store all of your monthly bank transactions and your book transactions. So if you're ever looking for a book or a bank transaction, a lot of times it's easier to log into Rynoh because we give you all of these filters to be able to narrow down exactly what you're looking for versus you having to go to the bank and try to guess, what that transaction could look like. So that happens on the book or the bank side. Under the reconciliation wizard, this is also where you can close out your month. So instead of you spending hours or days trying to reconcile the entire previous month, because you've done it every day using Rynoh's morning report, when the end of the month comes around, all you do is verify that your bank statement matches what Rynoh already has in the system for the beginning balance, the total credits, the total debits, and the ending balance. So long as that matches what Rynoh has in the system, you've 2 clicks of the mouse and you've closed out your entire system. Rynoh Secure. So Rynoh Secure is a module that lets you set up very detailed security alerts based on policies that you might have at your company from a CFO or a controller standpoint. So again, you can set up as many of these alerts as you want to, very much like Rynoh tracks, and they will take care of any type of security alert that you might have out there. So if you've issued a check and canceled it and reissued it within a different remittance name within so many days. If checks get out of order, so many checks get out of order from time to time, they don't get 20 numbers out of order over a 5-day period. So if those types of things happen, if you've got a sweep account or a like an e-recording account, if that balance, some type of an account that you've got a cushion in for maybe $1,000, if that balance ever falls below a certain amount, we'll let you know that as well. So Rynoh Pay. So if you have positive pay, then Rynoh can automate that positive pay upload for you. So a lot of times agents, they come to us, they go, hey, we've got positive pay. What happens then is every day before someone leaves, the building, they've got to create a batch file in their software and upload it to the bank. If that fails, if they forget to do it, if they go home early, if they're out sick or on vacation, if that batch doesn't get to the bank, nobody gets their money tomorrow. Checks will bounce, which is a problem. So Rynoh automates that positive pay batch upload for you, and you can schedule that batch to go every 30 minutes if you want to. Again, it's just, it just makes it very simple. IDW. So IDW is the automatic matching of incoming and outgoing wires. So anytime a wire comes into the bank, Rynoh will go to your software, will actually match what's been posted, reconcile that particular posting, that incoming wire in real time, and then notify you. Same thing with an outgoing wire. Anytime a wire leaves the bank, Rynoh will go into your software and verify that that was a valid wire for that dollar amount, will match it and reconcile it and then notify you as well. So again, it just makes less exceptions on the morning report the next day. And then under analytics, so the analytics section, I guess the really standout thing here is the GTO data report. So currently GTO stands for Geographical Targeting Order. And the Treasury Department, they're looking for possible money laundering. So instead of you guys having to go figure out, hey, did we have any cash deals over $300,000 within certain areas in the United States, we automate that entire process for you. And again, it's under current legislative change. So instead of it only being a minimum threshold of $300,000 or more, and only in certain areas of the United States, the Treasury Department is trying to make it for any cash deposits for the entire United States. So for that report, if you were to go here, grab your escrow accounts, again, right now the current minimum is $300,000, and it's only in certain areas of the United States. But let's just go grab Florida and hit search. So if you had any cash deposits that were over $300,000 in that particular area for that time frame, you would have to report that to the Treasury Department. We've automated that entire process. So again, you don't have to go look for this information. We will automatically report it to you. If this legislation changes, then we will actually update our reporting process to where it'll show any cash and for any type of area for the United States. Okay. So let's see what else, Brad.
You want to kick it over to me?
Yep. Let me see here. Hang on. Let me see if I can do that. Change presenter, Brad Mulder. There you go.
Thank you, everybody. So I wanted to dive back in, talk a little bit more about kind of the industry as a whole, what we're seeing, different trends that we're seeing. So some of the things I wanted to talk about was a little bit about AI in the industry, some fraud and what's happening in the industry when it comes to fraud, some bank modernizations, and kind of where we're going as a whole. So when it comes to AI, we are seeing across the board, and I'm sure all of you are seeing that as well. It's not just within the title industry. This is happening over and over and over, pretty much everywhere. And so we're starting to see not only at Rynoh, but kind of across the board. So some of the title production software systems are introducing elements of AI. I have heard through some of our underwriter partners that some of the different search functionalities are introducing AI. And we're also kind of implementing that to help ward off fraud. Fraud is certainly one of the things that is becoming more and more prevalent, and that's one of the areas that we are diving into as well. So when it comes to fraud, there's a few different elements that are happening. One of the biggest things that we've seen is fake listings that are popping up. For example, on like Zillow, whether it's vacant land or a home that a fraudster basically is throwing out there in hopes that someone will try to buy it, and they're posing as the sellers. And some of the key signs are they are looking for a quick close. They don't want to do any title agencies, or they don't want to do anything like the real detailed searches. They're just simply trying to get either a crypto transaction, or they're trying to just make it very quick. So they end up forging those documents. They impersonate like they're the sellers, all in hopes that they're going to get the money from these potential buyers. And it is very sophisticated. They are learned how we transact, how we perform our closings, and they're getting more and more smart and wise every single day. And this is also now coming across as far as the disbursements. They're trying to find ways that they can steal money from these title companies. And so payment fraud, that's where I was going with this. So 63% of title companies and organizations have some sort of fraud that they've either dealt with, they've seen, or they have fought off. And so that is becoming more and more prevalent throughout our industry. COVID was, I think, a large part of this that came on, you know, as people were remote, as people were trying to do things in a remote environment. That just opened up the door to those fraudsters being able to get in and find different kind of gaps in the security and find ways to steal money. And so what we've done is we implemented a new platform called Rynoh Verifi. And what we are doing is actually we are verifying the account information, and we are doing this in real time. We integrate with not only your title production softwares, but we integrate with what's called the early warning system. And we do this so that way we can help you as the title agencies find and identify that if there, before you send money out in a disbursement, that you're sending it to the right person. You may be asking yourself, well, what is early warning service? So basically it is a privately fintech company. They're the ones who created Zelle. So it is truly those largest banks that you know of: Bank of America, Capital One, Chase, PNC, Truist, etc. And what they basically have done is they've got over 2,500 different financial institutions across the United States to all kind of, I'll use the word database, even though it's much more sophisticated than that. And they've got over 686 million deposit accounts. They've got over 600 million account owners. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that that information of who the account owner is tied to that specific account. So before you send out your disbursements, you know they're going to the right person. So again, how this works, we are integrated currently with all the different title production softwares. We have a couple of different avenues, either through automation, where we can actually extract that information directly from the title production software. And we're also launching another way where you can manually enter that information as well. We go out and we verify through the early warning service that I just talked about that the account number, the routing number, and the payee are all aligned. And we do that basically to make sure that, again, the person that you are trying to send this money to actually receives it. And we give you a few different results on the back end. One of the last things I want to talk about would be the fact that we are also revitalizing all of our bank integrations. We are doing this again and just to bring efficiency, automation, and most importantly, security. We want to make sure that you are going to be safe, that your money is going to be safe, and we certainly do that for you as well. So one of the big things here, I wanted to quick dive in and kind of give a quick showcase of our Verifi platform. So underneath the different applications, that is a part of Rynoh Sync. So as we kind of go over here to Rynoh Sync, it's going to pull up a dashboard, and again, the setup is extremely easy. We can help walk through all of this with our different clients, and you can see your different accounts and profiles and things like that. But if I go under Verify, this is where we're going to be able to help you to identify, again, those fraudulent transactions before you send out any money. You can do this and you can look at individual accounts, or you can look at all of your accounts. You can sort things by transaction date, by dollar amount, a specific file number. You have total control in terms of what you want to search for. So if I wanted to look for a specific file, you can do that. You can look at one specific file and you will see all of the disbursements that are within that file. You'll know the bank, the routing number, the account number, who the payee is, the amount, etc. One of the most important things that we talked about is the status. So that, as you can see, is a green check. That means you are good to go. Send that money. The nice thing is we actually have a direct link where you can open up the ledger right inside Rynoh for that specific file. So you can see all the deposits, you can see the checks, the debits, etc. You have full access without ever leaving Rynoh to access your title production software. Now, if I kind of backtrack and we'll just kind of look at all the different accounts, you can see there's a lot of transaction history here. And you'll be able to look at and view the different statuses within Verifi. As mentioned before, a green check, that is a pass. You are good to go. Go ahead and send that money. This yellow exclamation point basically tells you that it's pretty good, it's pretty reliable, but maybe there's something that is a little bit off. So in this case, Rose and Wobble Realty. Most likely, that could be something as simple as the bank has that registered instead of the ampersand, it's spelled out A-N-D. And that is why they're getting this green check. The nice thing is you can actually go into these transactions, look at it more carefully. You can add some comments of, you know, it's spelled A-N-D on record. And you can save that, you can acknowledge it and authorize it. And then this will pop up where it shows this has been authorized, we're good to go, we're sending the money out. And as you can see, as the pop-up there, this was approved by Wile E. Coyote, and it shows the date it was approved. That is going to give you that record. It is going to show the history of when you actually authorized this and who authorized it. This big red X, that's going to be a telltale sign, do not send this money. This is a fraudulent transaction, and you're not going to want to send this money. Now, as you can see, it says right there, unadvised. Now, we also have this authorized and approved, you know, so you can send the money out, but be wary, you know, this is going to be your internal policies and you want to make sure that they're safeguards. We have the ability to do preparers and approvers, so you can make sure you have the right people who are looking at this and or approving these before anything leaves your bank. Finally, there's a couple other different statuses in here. So first one would be this question mark. A question mark is very simply Acme title is the payee, but when we get an unknown, that is more than likely simply a case of this particular bank is not part of the early warning service database. That can happen, for example, if you're dealing with very small regional banks that are in the middle of, you know, an area that is they only have 1 or 2 locations, things like that. That is not a bank that's working with the early warning. The other one you might see is this invalid data. And really, to break this down, what that means is more than likely you have not enough numbers in the account number or the routing number. Routing numbers are pretty straightforward as far as the number of digits within the routing number. So for example, maybe you left out one, maybe you put a couple too many. That just gives you the warning of, hey, before we can even verify this is a true transaction, we need to verify what the information that was entered into here. Finally, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but sync out, we are on the early stages. We are working to automate the transactions going not only after they get verified that they're good transactions, you're ready to send the money, but we're actually going to allow you to then send it directly from here to your bank and send out those disbursements. All automated, and it's going to, again, help you to prevent keystroke errors, accidentally sending duplicate wires, etc. So great things are happening, great things are coming at Rynoh. We're super excited about not only what we're doing in the industry to protect your money on the back end, and make sure you're in balance. But also on the front end now, we are helping you to verify that the money you have is going to the right people at the right time, and you're not sending it to potential fraudsters. And so that is a very, very high level, quick overview. I'm more than happy to dive deeper with anybody. Lee is also here to help anybody. So if anyone would love to get a demo of a kind of a deep dive into Rynoh Verifi, we are more than happy to do that. And I guess at this point, I will turn it back over to Drew in case we have any questions that came in.
Hey, Brad, thank you. That we could probably spend another 35 minutes here going into that, but purpose of this is to give people a taste, give people some of the main components that they need to be aware of, what's happening with Rynoh for the future. Yeah, any questions that you have, please send them in now. We have a couple already. This one's related to pricing. So with all of the subscriptions that you forget about or remember, and you get the notification that the prices are increasing on your Netflix or your Spotify account. What are the any different pricing models for any of Rynoh software?
I'll take this one. So our pricing is very straightforward, very simple. We are very confident in our services, so we don't have a long-term contract with our clients. Our pricing is very directly related to the amount of files you have. So basically, the more files you have, the cheaper it gets. We bundled all of our pricing, so everything you've seen today, as far as the recon, the tracks that Lee went over, the Verifi that I went over, the future sync, that is a bundled price. So you're going to get everything for one simple price. And again, if you want to connect with us, we're happy to break it down a little bit for you on more of a minuscule level.
Great. This one is about the ease of configuration.
Sure, so hey, I'll jump in on that. So, here's the thing. Rynoh is highly, highly customizable. So some of those modules that I went through, you can set up whatever alerts you want to, any type of notification, because the way you run your title company or law firm is very separate and distinct from how, the guy down the street runs his title company or law firm. So again, you can set up very, very easily programmable custom alerts based on what you're looking to track, what your concerns are, who you disperse to, and so on. So again, there's probably a lot more customization than there is, actual training parts. So again, remember also training is at no cost, support's at no cost. You can have as many bank accounts as you want to. You can also have as many users as you want to as well. So we don't try to charge you for any type of support, any additional bank accounts, any additional users, or what have you. The whole idea here is that we protect the money that's in your trust account or your escrow account, and we make it very, very simple to do a daily three-way reconciliation. Okay, that's pretty much automated for you.
Great. Next question is, what underwriters do you work with, and I guess what size underwriter do you maybe have the best fit with, or what's the underwriter feedback related to your partnerships?
So here's the thing. Underwriters, they love Rynoh, okay? Because what it allows them to do is a very simple audit process. So they, sometimes if you're a new agent or if you failed some type of an audit for financial reasons, they may have you go on some other type of platform, or they may have you just go to Rynoh and give them access. So underwriters, I can't tell you, they love Rynoh because it gives them the ability to do a very simple audit at any time, day or place. Again, there's really no limitations to the type of underwriter that loves Rynoh. Because again, it gives them that very detailed access that they may need to have, either for an audit or if a company is closing out an account, it lets them do an audit, an exit audit very, very quickly. And then with our Escheat platform, if there's remaining funds that are in that particular escrow or trust account, they can account for that very, very simply as well. So again, underwriters, they rave about Rynoh. I've heard a lot of title companies say, look, once you go to Rynoh, like, you can't go back. Or I've had other agents say, how do you run a title company without Rynoh? So again, on the underwriter side, we've got great relationships with pretty much every underwriter out there that I can name. So that's a good question too.
You touched on it earlier in the presentation with Rynoh's footprint. It's significant. This one is down a level, and it's about title company size, being able to get the most out of Rynoh. Or are there any companies that you work with that are on the smaller end that it's still a good fit despite the perception of like an enterprise level software? So I guess you have enterprise level software features for agents that may not be enterprise level with the headcount.
I'll take this one. So yeah, we definitely have clients of all shapes and sizes. We have some that are just doing a handful of transactions in a month, and we've got other ones that are doing thousands of transactions in a month. And especially kind of as I was talking about, with the elements of fraud being introduced within the industry, it's probably more and more important that you partner yourself with a company such as Rynoh that can help not only look after your money on the back end, but start looking and taking care of it on the front end as well. So we definitely have the largest range possible, from just a handful of closings in a month to thousands upon thousands in a month. So we can configure and work with all types of companies.
That agility seems really valuable. So the final question is about the ramp up time. If someone was to sign on the dotted line and it's like, okay, well, I guess you're probably establishing this before you sign, but how long does it take to implement whatever customized solution with Rynoh?
So on an average, our ramp up time to get somebody from the time they register to they've actually activated their account is about 5 business days or less. So we are very nimble when it comes to getting somebody onboarded. Now, sometimes, things take a little bit longer. So as soon as an agent registered, we send them information on how to add Rynoh to banking, and then what they'll need for the short onboarding call to be able to install the adapter for their software. Sometimes, depending on their bank or their software, that could take a little bit more time. But on average, our ramp up time to get them from registration to activation is about 5 days or less. So again, we're nimble. The big push here is that the sooner they can get on board with Rynoh, the sooner that money is protected, and we're automatically reconciling the accounts for them on a daily basis. So it gives them that daily oversight every single morning before banks are open. On my balance, if I'm not balanced, what happened? If I'm not balanced, what actually occurs? So I'll tell you a short story too. So back in 2016, we actually had an agent. She got her morning report in her car on her way to work. And at the very top, it said, hey, your balance, which is what we show you every single day. The bank, the book, and the trial balance all matched up. She went to the center part of that morning report that shows you any of your available funds. So under the available funds section, it shows you any files that you have currently open that have monies attached to them, as well as any files that you've already closed that still have remaining funds in them. So you can deal with those as need be. Well, she had a negative balance of $350,000. So as soon as she opened that morning report, she can actually click on the link and then open up the ledger from her software. So again, you don't have to stop, go log into your software and go find, a particular file, open that ledger right from that morning report in her phone. She could click on that link and open up the ledger. In that ledger, she had, she had no information whatsoever, no property address, no buyer, no seller, nothing. Now, she knew she had about $2.4 million in escrow. So it didn't make sense to her that she had a $350,000 negative balance. So right from her morning report, she was able to email her bank and say, hey, freeze this account. Like something does not add up here. I've got 2.4 million in escrow. I've got a negative $350,000 balance that's trying to leave the bank in the middle of the night. So come to find out, she actually had a ZooSpot virus on her network. That was trying to disperse a $350,000 payout in the middle of the night. It was so sophisticated that it went into her production software, created a fake file, and was trying to disperse those funds. So because she told the bank to freeze that account, which they did, we actually worked with the FBI to deconstruct that virus. And what we found out with that deconstruction is, had that $350,000 left the bank, it was actually going to sweep the rest of the $2.4 million in escrow at the end of the day. So again, we saved her company. By the end of the day, she would have been insolvent, totally out of business. I mean, you can't really replace $2.4 million that used to be in your escrow account. So again, we have saved more of our clients' money than we've ever been paid since 2007. And it's kind of a testament. I mean, I could go on and on with different stories of, so there's another story that one of our clients got into a spat, so to speak, with their IT company. That IT company went in there and deleted their entire database. So every file that they had in there was gone. Well, because Rynoh, we're actually talking to that software every 10 minutes, updating it, as well as downloading that data, we had them back up and running the very next morning. So again, we handle a lot of different issues when it comes to being able to secure that data, as well as giving oversight with any type of theft, fraud, or heck, even defalcation, if that particular type of action takes place. So again, our ramp up time is very, very quick because we want to be able to protect that money in a timely manner.
Wonderful. So I'm not sure if I guess for those of you that are still in attendance, Rynoh's marketing department was nice enough to put together a 3-pager instead of a 1-pager on top 12 challenges in title and how Rynoh is helping title specific companies securely automate their processes. So here is the PDF document, and if any of you would like to simply have me email it to you, I can certainly do that. And as I stall, so I can maximize this, here it is, the great curated list, and I'm going to slide this into the handout section here. If y'all are, okay, so 100% uploaded. So it's there in the handout section, 1 of 5. If anyone would like to download that, please do. If you'd like me to email it to you, shoot me an email and we can coordinate that. But that's all I got. And I thank all of you for attending. I thank Lee and Brad and PJ, their marketing guy, for coordinating this. There's a lot of money at stake. If your processes are not either efficient, you're going to lose money by wasting time and effort, or you're going to have a security breach and lose money that way. So this was a lot of great information. We did a couple pre-production calls here, and thank you for your patience. We were working on some AV issues up front, but I learned a lot. I hope you all did too. Final thoughts, Lee and Brad. What about Rynoh's mission, and what, outside of the product knowledge, what are you passionate about with what Rynoh does for their customers? And at the end of the day, aiming to save a whole lot of headache and potentially lost money. So what about your mission at Rynoh would you like to leave our attendees with?
Well, so I'll jump in, and here's the thing. So we do different underwriter events, throughout the year. I have never had anybody come up and go, "Hey, we hate Rynoh." It's always been a very positive feedback that, hey, we love it. if there's any way you guys could do more, we would love to do that. So again, we provide a daily 3-way reconciliation for the escrow trust account, a daily 2-way reconciliation for the operating account, and then we've got the entire Is Cheap platform, as well as the new platform for being able to verify the payoff information and then be able to sync that up and send that wire out. So again, we're always evolving with new technology to be able to provide a really, really good value for the agent that uses Rynoh. Again, I've heard people say, look, once you go to Rynoh, like you can't go back. Or, you know, how does someone run a title company without Rynoh? It's great to hear the feedback from our agents that, and again, I've never had a negative connotation whatsoever when it comes to Rynoh. I'd like to be able to have good credibility and to be able to provide a good product for our clients. And it makes me feel good to know that everything that, you know, we provide for them, it helps them out, you know, instead of them having to do all the looking and the forensics to be able to find information, we're providing that for them automatically. So what about you, Brad?
I'll do a small feedback and just say we are very, very aggressively adding new products, new features, new functionality. So definitely follow us on, you know, all the social media platforms and everything else, because we're constantly pushing out new information. We're evolving with the industry. We're advancing in terms of our tech stack, and so very exciting times over here at Rynoh. And certainly, if anyone is interested, reach out. We're happy to fill you in on all the great things we're doing over here.
Great. Likewise for us at Security Title, please give us a follow on LinkedIn and or Facebook. The promo for next month's webinar is we are doing an Ask the Underwriters panel, finally getting our Security Title Underwriting Council members on a webinar, and look out for that announcement. And then look out for the recording of this session. I'll be adding as many YouTube chapters as I possibly can to make it as easy as possible for you to jump around and find the exact segment that you want to find. So thank you again so much. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, everyone in attendance. And we look forward to seeing you next month.
Okay,
Thanks,
guys.
Stuart.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.